A subtle, creeping unease had settled over Willow Creek, an almost imperceptible ripple disturbing the otherwise placid surface of suburban life. It was the kind of feeling that gnawed at the edges of consciousness, a whisper of discord beneath the cheerful hum of sprinklers and the distant laughter of children. We meet Arthur Hayes, a man who, at first glance, was utterly unremarkable. His movements were precise, his smiles polite, his presence a comforting fixture in the neighborhood. He was the kind of man who always remembered to trim his hedges and offer a friendly wave, embodying the very essence of stability. But beneath this meticulously crafted veneer, Arthur carried an invisible weight, a silent burden that pressed down on him, distorting the very reality he presented to the world. And as our story unfolds, a truth, as bizarre as it was unsettling, begins to emerge. Arthur Hayes was married to 2 women. Our initial focus draws us into the seemingly idyllic world of his first marriage to Eleanor. She was a woman of quiet grace, her loyalty as deep-rooted as the ancient oaks lining Maple Drive. Their home, a quaint, 2-story colonial with a meticulously tended rose garden, exuded an aura of serene permanence. Their life together was a tapestry woven with years of shared history, comfortable silence at breakfast, the predictable rhythm of their evenings, the gentle murmur of their conversations. Arthur's absences initially were easily explained. Business trips, late nights at the office, the demands of his demanding, if somewhat vague, profession. He'd return with the faint scent of stale coffee and printer ink clinging to his clothes, a weary but loving smile on his face, and Eleanor, trusting implicitly, would accept his explanations without a flicker of doubt. She was a woman of routine, of deep-seated faith in the man she loved, and the idea of anything disrupting their carefully constructed world was simply unfathomable. She prided herself on her ability to nurture, to create a haven, and Arthur was the undisputed cornerstone of that sanctuary. Her days revolved around the quiet rhythms of their shared life, the tending of her beloved garden, the planning of their modest future. There was a quiet strength to Eleanor, a resilience born of years of quiet devotion, but it was a strength yet untested by true betrayal. She was a creature of habit, and Arthur's subtle deviations from those habits were like faint ripples in still water, barely noticeable at first, but slowly expanding. Yet, these seemingly innocuous explanations began to fray at the edges, like old lace. A subtle inconsistency in Arthur's alibis, a fleeting glance of unease in his eyes when he thought she wasn't looking, or a faint, unfamiliar scent on his collar would introduce a delicate discord into Eleanor's mind. It was a creeping suspicion, a whisper of unease she couldn't quite articulate, but it lingered, a persistent, disquieting hum beneath the surface of their everyday life. She'd begin to notice the way Arthur clutched his phone, a sudden tension in his jaw when it chimed unexpectedly, or the way he'd subtly change the subject if she pressed too hard about his business trips. Her once unquestioning acceptance slowly eroded, replaced by a subtle, almost imperceptible shift in her perception of him. The quiet intimacy of their home, once a comfort, began to feel like a stage where a carefully constructed performance was being enacted. She found herself scrutinizing his every move, every word, searching for a false note in the symphony of their shared life. The scent of Eleanor's freshly baked bread, once a symbol of their domestic bliss, now seemed to mingle with the phantom scent of something unknown, something foreign that Arthur carried with him. The gentle hum of their suburban street, usually a lullaby of peace, sometimes felt like a low thrum of impending doom. And then, with agonizing slowness, the narrative shifts, offering a glimpse into the second household, just a few blocks away, on Elm Street. This reveal is handled with extreme delicacy, perhaps through Arthur's own internal turmoil, or a fleeting, almost imperceptible observation of another woman, Clara. Clara was a stark contrast to Eleanor, a vibrant, artistic soul who seemed to awaken a different, more unrestrained side of Arthur. Her home, perhaps a studio apartment filled with vibrant paintings and eclectic artifacts, would reflect her bohemian spirit, a world away from Eleanor's carefully curated domesticity. The juxtaposition between Eleanor's serene, predictable world and Clara's more dynamic, perhaps even bohemian existence, would be subtly drawn, like two different canvases painted by the same artist, yet with entirely different palettes. Clara might be a painter, a musician, or a free-spirited writer, a woman who offered Arthur an escape from the structured routines of his other life. The initial introduction of Clara isn't a direct confrontation, but a perplexing observation, a subtle shift in Arthur's demeanor, a newfound lightness in his step on certain days, or a cryptic message overheard from a neighbor. Perhaps Eleanor catches a glimpse of Arthur's car parked on an unfamiliar street, or sees him in a coffee shop, laughing with a woman she doesn't recognize, a laugh that carries a distinct, unsettling echo she's never heard from him before. The language will be deliberately slow-paced, almost meditative, emphasizing minute details that, in retrospect, will illuminate the true nature of Arthur's meticulously constructed double life. Every lingering glance, every hurried phone call, every vague explanation will be a breadcrumb leading to the unsettling truth. The goal is to create a profound sense of foreboding, a slow-burning realization that the very foundation of their suburban peace is built on a house of cards, teetering on the brink of collapse. The section will culminate in a chilling, undeniable detail, a seed of doubt so potent it blossoms into a terrifying certainty, leaving the audience breathless and desperate to understand how such an impossibly convoluted existence could ever come to be. Perhaps Eleanor finds a small, unassuming item, a delicate, unfamiliar scarf, a single earring, or a faint, sweet perfume she doesn't recognize, tucked away in Arthur's jacket pocket. Or, in a moment of unsettling revelation, she might stumble upon a hidden photograph, carefully concealed in his wallet, a picture of Arthur with another woman, her smile radiant, his arm possessively around her, and in his eyes, a tenderness Eleanor had always believed was reserved only for her. This is the precise moment Eleanor's carefully constructed world begins to fracture, and the viewer is inexorably drawn into the spiraling vortex of mystery, compelled to uncover the truth behind this seemingly perfect man. The insidious unease, a cold tendril that had begun to snake its way into Eleanor's heart in the preceding days, now tightened its grip, transforming into a tangible, suffocating suspicion. Her quiet doubts, once mere murmurs in the back of her mind, began to manifest as concrete, desperate actions. She found herself meticulously observing Arthur, scrutinizing his every move, every fleeting expression. Inconsistencies in his well-rehearsed stories, subtle shifts in his demeanor, a new terseness in his replies, a guardedness in his eyes, all became glaring beacons of deceit. Eleanor, clinging desperately to the comfortable illusion of her marriage, fought a silent, internal battle. She tried to rationalize, to dismiss, to invent innocent explanations for the growing mound of evidence against him. But each new discovery, each fragmented piece of the puzzle, chipped away at her carefully constructed world, leaving her more exposed, more vulnerable. This section delves deep into the psychological torment of suspicion, the agonizing erosion of trust, and the brutal, soul-wrenching process of confronting a truth that threatens to shatter one's entire existence. Her once familiar routines, once a source of comfort, now transformed into agonizing investigations. Every phone call Arthur received, every email he quickly dismissed, became a potential revelation. Every casual remark, a hidden clue. She became a silent detective in her own home, listening, watching, her heart a drumbeat of escalating panic. Simultaneously, the narrative offers chilling, unsettling glimpses into Arthur's meticulously constructed dual life. We witness the breathtaking delicacy of the balance he maintains, the labyrinthine web of lies he spins, the constant, terrifying tightrope walk between two distinct and utterly incompatible realities. This is a deeply unsettling exploration of deception, showcasing the sheer mental and emotional acrobatics required to sustain such a monumental betrayal. Arthur's life was a masterclass in compartmentalization, each day a carefully choreographed dance between two separate identities. He had to remember which lies he told to whom, which version of himself belonged to Eleanor, and which to Clara. The constant pressure of maintaining the charade was an invisible weight, subtly reshaping him. He might appear gaunt, his eyes often shadowed, and there were fleeting moments of distraction or profound weariness that neither Eleanor nor Clara could quite fathom, attributing them to stress from work or simply a bad night's sleep. The air around him, once familiar, now carried a strange, unsettling chill. We learn more about Clara, perhaps through Arthur's fragmented interactions with her, or through her own subtle observations about his mysterious comings and goings. Is she a knowing accomplice, a willing participant in this elaborate deception, or is she, too, a victim of Arthur's intricate web of lies? The narrative deliberately keeps this ambiguity alive, adding another layer of gnawing suspense. Clara, a vibrant woman who radiated an intoxicating energy, might herself be plagued by her own quiet doubts about Arthur's elusive nature. Perhaps she too had questioned his frequent absences, his vague explanations, the way he sometimes seemed to drift away even when he was physically present. But Arthur, a master manipulator, always had a plausible explanation, a reassuring touch, a loving word that dispelled her nascent fears. Her love for him, as deep and passionate as Eleanor's, made her willing to overlook the unanswered questions, to believe in the beautiful illusion he had created for her. The escalating tension reaches a fever pitch as a critical turning point occurs, a moment that irrevocably shatters the illusion. Perhaps Eleanor accidentally intercepts a cryptic, intimate message meant for Clara, a text message too tender, too personal, to be anything but a lover's endearment. Or she might overhear a conversation, a fragment of words from Arthur on the phone, that can no longer be dismissed as mere coincidence or misunderstanding. This event serves as the explosive catalyst, propelling Eleanor beyond the realm of mere suspicion and into active, desperate investigation. She might, driven by a raw, primal need for the truth, follow Arthur. Or, in a moment of chilling discovery, she might stumble upon a hidden item, a peculiar key that doesn't fit any lock in their home, a piece of jewelry she's never seen, or a receipt for a lavish gift not meant for her. An undeniable piece of evidence that irrevocably links him to another life, another woman. Eleanor's heart pounds with a terrifying rhythm as she closes in on the truth. Each step she takes, each piece of evidence she uncovers, fuels her rising panic and desperation. She begins to ask Arthur harder questions, her voice laced with a tremor of fear, and his responses become increasingly irritable, defensive, even tinged with a chilling anger, which only confirms her deepest fears. The section culminates in a truly shocking revelation, a definitive, irrefutable piece of evidence that leaves absolutely no room for doubt. It could be a direct, undeniable link to Clara, perhaps Eleanor witnessing Arthur and Clara together in a public place, their hands intertwined, a gesture of intimacy that sends a cold shiver down Eleanor's spine. Or, in a moment of sickening clarity, she might discover the horrifying proximity of their two lives. Clara living just a few blocks away, in the very same suburban idyll of Willow Creek, a truth so devastatingly close it steals Eleanor's breath. This horrifying, unassailable evidence leaves Eleanor reeling, her world tilted on its axis, and catapults the story into its inevitable, cataclysmic confrontation. The gentle hum of Willow Creek is no longer a lullaby, but a mournful dirge, signaling the end of one life and the terrifying beginning of another. The fragile facade, meticulously constructed over years of calculated deception, finally shattered, not with an explosive crash, but with the quiet, devastating splintering of trust. The irrefutable evidence Eleanor had painstakingly unearthed in part two now served as a silent, yet deafening indictment. This scene is less about a screaming match and more about the profound, agonizing unraveling of a lifetime of shared memories and unwavering faith. When Eleanor confronts Arthur, there are no histrionics, no theatrical accusations. Instead, her voice is a strained whisper, her eyes mirroring the raw, searing pain of betrayal. She simply lays out the irrefutable truth, the cold, hard facts, allowing them to speak for themselves. The emotional weight of this moment is immense, focusing on the raw anguish of a heart torn asunder and the shattering of every illusion she had ever held dear. Arthur's reaction, laid bare, becomes the crucible of this moment. Will he confess, his carefully constructed lies crumbling around him? Will he deny, clinging to a desperate, futile attempt at manipulation? Or will he attempt to explain, to justify his monstrous actions, revealing the true depths of his deception and the bewildering psychological complexity of his choices? His pleas for forgiveness, if they come, are laced with a chilling desperation. His attempts to shift blame, to plead circumstance, or even to gaslight Eleanor, are met with her unwavering, heartbreaking resolve. He might fall to his knees, begging for a chance to explain the inexplicable, claiming burdens and pressures he couldn't share. Or, in a moment of chilling honesty, he might weakly confess that he loves both women, an admission so shocking, so morally repugnant, that it cuts Eleanor to the bone. His agony, though self-inflicted, is palpable, yet it offers no solace to the woman whose world he has so carelessly dismantled. Crucially, this section also brings Clara, the other woman, directly into the narrative. The truth, like a wildfire, can no longer be contained, and its devastating heat reaches her as well. How does she react when the truth inevitably spills forth? Is she a knowing participant, a willing partner in Arthur's elaborate charade? Or is she, too, another unwitting victim of his calculated deceit? The revelation strikes her as hard, if not harder, than Eleanor. The initial reaction might be shock, then confusion, then a searing, righteous anger. The tension is palpable as these two women, unknowingly bound by the same man, grapple with the profound, life-altering implications of his betrayal. They are strangers, yet now intimately connected by a shared wound. The narrative explores their individual pain, their shared sense of injustice, and, perhaps, the seed of an unexpected connection forming between them in the face of their common suffering. They might sit together, initially in stunned silence, then slowly, hesitantly, begin to piece together Arthur's intricate web of lies, each revelation a fresh stab of pain. They might discover that his stories to them, while different in detail, shared a common thread of manufactured excuses and emotional manipulation. This shared agony, this communal understanding of betrayal, could paradoxically forge a strange, fragile bond between them, a bizarre sisterhood born of shared suffering. The central conflict reaches its absolute, gut-wrenching peak. This could be a devastating family secret being unearthed, revealing a dark past that shaped Arthur's bizarre psychological landscape, perhaps a childhood trauma, a deeply ingrained fear of abandonment, or a hidden financial ruin that drove him to create this impossible double life as a desperate coping mechanism. Or it could be a shocking revelation about Arthur's past that explains, though certainly doesn't excuse, his bizarre behavior, a prior history of manipulation, a secret identity, or even a past transgression that forced him to live a life of constant deception. The twists in this section are designed to be genuinely unexpected, adding layers of psychological drama and visceral suspense. They aren't just plot devices. They are revelations that peel back the layers of Arthur's psyche, revealing a tormented, complex man, even as he is utterly reprehensible. The core of this section is the emotional and moral fallout of Arthur's actions, the catastrophic reverberations that spread through the lives of everyone he touched, and the profound, agonizing choices the women are forced to make as their lives are irrevocably changed. The section culminates in a moment of profound, soul-shaking realization or a catastrophic decision, leaving the characters and the audience poised on the precipice of an unknown, terrifying future. Eleanor, Clara, or both will be forced to make a choice that will forever alter the course of their lives, a choice that has no turning back, a choice forged in the crucible of absolute betrayal. The dust, thick with the residue of shattered trust and broken promises, slowly begins to settle, but the landscape of their lives is forever altered. The final section delves into the immediate aftermath of the devastating climax and the long-term, often messy, consequences of Arthur's deception. This is no facile happily ever after. The emotional scars run deep, etched into the very fabric of their beings. The narrative shifts its focus to the arduous, often isolating, process of picking up the pieces, of navigating a new reality that feels both alien and brutally real. The central thread follows the individual journeys of Eleanor and Clara as they grapple with their new realities. Do they find solace in each other? A strange, resilient bond forged in the fires of shared betrayal? Or does the weight of Arthur's deception, the bitter taste of his lies, only further complicate their already shattered lives, forcing them down separate, solitary paths? Eleanor, once the epitome of suburban contentment, must now confront the public shame of being so profoundly deceived, a humiliation that burns deeper than any physical wound. Yet, within her, a new, fierce strength may emerge, a determination to rebuild her life on foundations of truth, even if it means tearing down everything she once knew. Clara, on the other hand, might wrestle with the agonizing realization that her love was built on a monumental lie, a carefully constructed fantasy. Her artistic spirit, once a source of joy and freedom, might now be tinged with the bitterness of betrayal, forcing her to find new inspiration amidst the ruins. Their paths may converge again, perhaps in a quiet, hesitant coffee shop meeting, or a chance encounter in the very neighborhood that witnessed Arthur's elaborate charade. They might share fragmented stories, memories of the man they both loved and despised, slowly piecing together a more complete and terrifying picture of his intricate deceptions. This shared understanding, while painful, could offer a strange form of healing, a quiet acknowledgement of their collective trauma. Arthur's fate is sealed, though not necessarily with a neat, conclusive ending. His resolution may be a descent into despair, a desperate and ultimately futile attempt at redemption, or a quiet, ignominious fade into obscurity, reflecting the ambiguous nature of justice and consequences in real life. He might vanish, leaving the two women to grapple with the unanswered questions and the wreckage of his choices, a ghost of a man who left behind only chaos. Or he might face the legal or social ramifications of his actions, a public downfall that offers little comfort to those he wounded. The story will explore the lasting, indelible impact of his choices on everyone involved, leaving a lingering sense of melancholy and contemplation. The echoes of his deceit will resonate, long after his presence is gone, a constant reminder of the fragility of trust and the devastating power of lies. The narrative will meticulously tie up loose ends, but not in a way that feels overly neat or forced. There will be a profound sense of realism, acknowledging that some wounds, especially those of the heart, never truly heal. Eleanor might find new love, but the lingering shadow of suspicion, the inherent vulnerability of trusting another, might always remain. Clara might continue her artistic pursuits, but the memories of betrayal, the ghost of what could have been, will forever be a part of her creative spirit. The ending will provide a powerful, resonant message about the complexities of human relationships, the intricate web of secrets we keep from others, and, most poignantly, the secrets we keep from ourselves. It will be a quiet, haunting conclusion, one that prompts profound reflection long after the final words have faded, ensuring the sense of dramatic tension and emotional depth lingers, a poignant reminder of the characters' journeys and the enduring, devastating impact of Arthur's impossible, double life. The viewer will be left to ponder the true cost of deception, the resilience of the human spirit in the face of unimaginable betrayal, and the fragile, often unpredictable, nature of truth itself.